Everyone about the delay there. Uh, I'm a little bit of a mess today. Okay, today is Tuesday, December 9th. This is week 6, day 2 of India Evening a Weekend Platoon. This week we are covering servers, Flask, and an intro to Postgres. Uh, in its simplest terms, what is a web server or just server?
It hosts the website itself or the information that you're storing
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, it's some kind of what that holds information. When I say server, what's the first thing that crosses your mind? It should be pretty much the first thing that crosses everybody's mind. It's a what?
Web server.
Yeah, it doesn't, that you said nothing.
It's basically hard drives and storage facilities.
You're overthinking it. If I say, hey, that's a server, what is it?
It serves.
That's even worse, bro. You're not
It's
making
like a
progress
host.
here. That's nothing. I could be a host. What am I serving? What?
Information.
HTTP stuff.
All right, guys, don't overthink it.
Database?
You guys are just saying words that don't mean anything.
It's like an intermediary, isn't it?
All right, here we go, guys. I
An
don't know if
application.
I've said this to you guys yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Words are really important in tech because problems are very esoteric and niche. Okay, being able to describe something in very simple terms is actually really important. That's why I always grill you about it, right? Okay, let me rephrase it. When someone says the cloud, what are they talking about?
Virtual machines.
Yeah, but what is that?
Computers somewhere else.
That's it. No, it's computers that somebody owns that you run. Right. I didn't like your virtual machine answer for a simple fact that you have 10 virtual machines on one computer?
You can, yes.
Of course you can. That's why your answer was bad initially. Right? That's not very descriptive. Okay. When I say a server, what is in its most basic element? What is a server?
A computer.
Yes. Nice job, Nicholas.
Computer somewhere else, certain.
Yeah.
Not giving up on the
It's just a
certain part.
computer. Right? When someone says server, it's just a computer. When someone says cloud, there's no real cloud. It's just a computer that you don't own, that typically you pay for. Right? Can you have a server in your closet?
Yes.
Of course. You can buy a computer, put it in your closet, and you can ping it, have it serve up nothing but holographic Pokemon images, right? Right?
Yes.
You can make it public facing, right? And you
Coin.
can have people in Taiwan pinging the server in your closet, right? All right, cool, awesome. What is you guys learned about Flask? Yes, yeah, yesterday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is Flask?
Flask creates a bridge
I'm
between
not asking what it does. I'm asking what it is.
The microservice.
Kind of. It's like a micro what? Don't overthink it. I'm just looking for its most basic. Like
server.
Flask. No, it's not.
Oh, is it a web app? Like a micro app?
No.
Okay.
Come on, you're overthinking it. A Flask is just a what? Because we already talked about what they are. They're just does a lesson say it? I'm sure it probably does. Let me
It
look.
says it's a server and a framework.
It's a framework. What's a framework?
Something someone else put together to make someone else's life easier.
Yeah, it's just code that someone else's wrote that you can import into your project, right? Yes? It's just a little library. And they say micro framework, it's just small. It's not very big, right? And sizes of library differ, right? Sizes of anything differs, right? I'll give you the perfect example of the two that we are going to use. We introduced Flask. Jordan introduced Flask yesterday. Is that correct?
Yes.
A very light library, a micro library. Eventually, you will work with Django. Django is more or less a regular sized library. What do you think the difference between Flask and Django is? One of them is light, one of them is much heavier. But when we describe libraries in those terms, what are we talking about? Totally okay if you haven't heard it described this way. That's okay. That's why we're doing this.
Is it the actual size of all the packages together?
Yeah, it's the actual size, but ultimately, right, that extra size gives you much more what?
References.
Power.
Power, but you describe it in software engineering terms, right? Not raw power, but ability to do more with what?
Memory. Like
No,
you can accomplish more stuff without having to write your own code.
that was awesome, Scott. Yes. You can do more things. When people say more powerful, you're not Iron Man. It's not going to, make you more powerful to fight bad guys, right? It's going to give you the ability to have a lot more functionality and the ability to integrate and do more things. So when they say, oh, this is a much more powerful library, typically it's a lot bigger, right? The thing that makes it different is the fact that, hey, you can do a lot more stuff with it. Where Flask, you're limited in the scope of the things you can do because it's light, it's small. But when you pick up bigger, stronger, more powerful libraries, you can do a lot more, right? They have a lot of really high speed things that you can do, right? Let me give you a real world example. Actually, I don't know if I can record this part, so I'm going to pause this. Okay, so I just gave you the Oracle connection to AWS. That's just one of millions of examples, right? But that's why libraries are so, so powerful. And guess what? I gave you the AWS Oracle library example, right? Guess who maintains that library? Is it Guillermo? No, it's some team on AWS. Don't care who it is. I just care that it works, right? Don't have to maintain that library. That is awesome. That makes my job a hell of a lot easier. Yes? Cool. All right, Flask, just a light library that allows you to create a what? Does anyone know? Flask is used to create a what?
Python.
Not quite Python app, but people say app. App means a lot of different things.
So yesterday we were doing URLs, websites, HTTP.
Yeah, you're making requests to your Flask. Your Flask what?
API.
Server.
Yeah, API, right? There's API that mimics the server.
Right.
All right, so very good, right? Flask can be used to create these API endpoints, right? That a front end can reach and query. Yes? Yep.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So in common usage, people always talk about typically, there's a lot of layers to this. So I'm just going to try to make this as simple as possible. Sometimes people will talk about full stack and they'll talk about front end and back end, right? The reality is that full stack is way more than that. Way more than that. And today we're going to talk about one of those middle layers, right? Not all of layers, because there's really that I can think of probably like 10 or 12. But typically when people talk about front end, back end, it's a lot more deeper than that. That's why when people say full stack engineer, that's kind of a misnomer. Nobody really is a full stack engineer. Can anyone tell me why no one's a full stack engineer? No one really is a full stack engineer? It's too what?
Too complicated. They're too massive.
Yeah, right? If someone tells you they're a full stack engineer, you can tell right away they're not particularly good at whatever it is.
You're like,
that
yeah,
they
you're
do. Right? It's just too big, man. It's too big. So we're going to introduce, and they already introduced the layer here, right? In front of your front end, there's actually another layer. It's called your API layer, right? And then you'll have your database layer, right? And then I'm not going to expand on that, but maybe towards the end of class, we'll talk of a couple more layers, right? So that's when people say full stack engineer and people think front end, back end. It's technically way more complicated than that, right? There's CI/CD, there's observability, there's a lot of other things, right? There's different types of middleware, and middleware is exactly what you think that it is. Layers that go between these other bigger layers, right? That's a whole thing. There's a whole networking piece that no one ever talks about, and networking is actually really, really hard. So full stack engineer, misnomer, a lot more layers in front end, back end. Today, we're going to talk about the API layer and a little bit of the database layer. Okay? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me start this lesson. I'm just going to go briefly do an overview of yesterday's lesson, even though I kind of already did. Let's look at this. Coolio. Alrighty. So lesson, creating a Flask server for handling GET requests. What is a web server? This is from yesterday's lesson, so I'm not going to redo it. I'm just going to go over it very quickly, right? A web server is a software application that listens to incoming HTTP requests. Where do the requests come from? When you're trying to ping a server, you are the what? Pinging the server.
Client.
You are the client. Can anyone rattle off a couple client devices?
iPhone.
Phone. What else?
Computer, refrigerator,
Computer, refrigerator,
car.
car, tablet, security system, my ring
Everything.
camera, right? Pretty much anything can be a client device these days. And when you look at funny that whoever, I think that was you, Scott, you mentioned a refrigerator, right? When you start getting into like thermostats and refrigerators, those are known as Internet of Things, right? They connect to the internet for a multitude of different reasons, right? So client devices can be literally anything. I have a little Garmin. Is my Garmin a client device?
Bet you it makes an API call.
Yeah, for sure. When I walk into my apartment, my Garmin syncs via my Wi-Fi, right? I have my credit card on there. I can just tap to pay, right? It has a bunch of that functionality. It is a client device, right? So at any moment, you have 1 to 3 or 4 client devices on your person, probably. Cool. Flask, just a micro framework that we're going to use. How does a server work? When an application makes a request to a server, it sends back information, typically in what format? Does anyone know? We've talked about it a little bit.
JSON.
Yep, JSON. And this is the code that you went through yesterday. I'm sure Jordan touched on virtual environments. Yes, just briefly.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Can anyone tell me what a virtual environment is? Just in the most simplest terms, it doesn't have to be overly technical.
It's a blank slate for you to start with.
Yeah, a little more, but more descriptive.
You set up the virtual environment, that way you don't have to set up everything else. So that if you have like Python 3.10 running and you build an app that takes 3.12 or something along those lines, so you can manage dependencies.
Yeah, very, very good. That was very, very good right there at the end, right? It's really just an isolated workspace. And this is really important for the reason that Scott just said, right? you can manage dependencies independently of what you're running on your machine. And that's really, really important because let's say you do a git clone to an old application that someone wrote 5 years ago and you try to run it, right? But you haven't created some kind of isolated environment where all those dependencies, right, can download and work together. It's probably going to default to your global dependencies that are on your machine. And those versions of those programs, if you have them, may not be compatible. Does everyone understand that? Yes?
Yep.
And one of the toughest things, right, that you will learn, especially when you start working in this field, is managing dependencies is actually kind of a pain in the ass. Because you're going to, and I think I mentioned it in this class, sorry if I have, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it again. But sometimes you run into a situation, especially with applications that are not even that old, right, where one of the dependencies, right, has some kind of security flaw in it, so you have to update it. So say you updated to version 3 of something, but then you realize that your application is so old that if you upgrade that specific dependency to version 3, a couple of your other dependencies are not compatible. So then you have to update those as well. And then you're juggling, 10, 20 dependencies and their versions, trying to figure out the perfect sweet spot where you can get your application to work again. Does everyone understand that? Right, so these actually isolated workspaces are actually incredibly important, right? I already created one here. I'll show you that in just 1 second. So this is the code that you guys ran yesterday, right? It's importing Flask. What's happening on this line? Anyone remember?
It looks like you're creating an instance to Flask.
Yeah, you're creating an instance of this Flask app. And you named it app, but you could have named it whatever you wanted. Here, just have a list of dictionaries, right? This is actually really important. This is you're creating a route. This is a decorator, if you remember this from the OOP lesson, right? And method is, hey, if someone calls a GET request on here, right? Run this function, and it just returns this list JSONified, right? So it just packages it, it converts it to JSON, and then sends it over the internet. Yes? This just says, hey, the default port's port 5000, as it says, but it changes it to port 8000 for this one. Anyone remember what this just does? This is a little kind of,
Run it even if you don't
yeah,
provide the
yeah.
Python.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, so I'll just try and say it. Okay, so what this line does says, hey, if you're executing this file directly, go ahead and execute, right? But if this file is being imported, don't execute. That's really the only thing you need to understand for right now. If you run, like if this was called app.py and I ran it by running Python app.py, it would execute. But if I try to import this file in another file, when that other file runs, it's not going to execute this code. Because typically, right, the order in which you want to execute things follows a certain order, right? So you don't want to just every time it's important to run. That's typically not what you want. So that's the only thing that this is doing. For right now, that's all you need to know. Okay, so they showed you this, but in reality, this is kind of like there's a lot going on here. Let's just look at something a little easier. All right, so what I've done here is I've already activated my virtual environment. Can anyone tell, based on my CLI, what tells me that I already have a virtual environment activated?
The prefix.
On the
VMV.
Yeah, up
folder.
here, the folder, but what about my terminal? What gives it away?
Has to be activated.
Bottom right.
Yeah, that and this right here. Right? If I press deactivate, watch, goes away, right? And now I got to activate it again. Watch that right corner. That's how I can tell it's active.
They changed
Yeah.
it. It used to be different. It used to show on the command line, but I guess they changed it.
Possibly. All right, so that's how you can tell. Sometimes the EMB up here kind of gives it away that there is a virtual environment that comes with that specific application, but sometimes it's you may or may not have it activated. So I always look here. This tells it right away. All right, so I have this this virtual environment. I already downloaded Flask. Look at my file tree. If I wanted to go find Flask, because I pip installed Flask, and you guys did this yesterday, but if I needed to find that code, where would I go? I downloaded Flask. Where's that code here?
It's in the virtual environment, but that way lies madness, and don't go in there.
Okay.
That's what we were told.
Yeah, don't go in there. But right here, I'm just showing you, hey, we just downloaded someone else's code, right? So you can go in here, and yes, it is a little scary, but just to show you, look, there's the Flask code. Yeah. So we did download code that we didn't write to make our jobs easier. Yes? Okay. Cool. But yes, it's very scary. You don't have to go in there. But I'm just showing you that, hey, and if you're actually ever in doubt whether you downloaded a dependency, you actually could go in there. It's typically in alphabetical order. Typically or always, I think always, in alphabetical order. So you can go in there and check, hey, did I actually download that specific dependency? Okay. So if I wanted to run this specific little server, I could just do what?
Python s.py.
Yeah. Is this test? Yep. And then I could do just command, boom, open it. And I'm going to have a little, boom, a little endpoint right here. Yes? I actually came another, I opened from my personal, that's fine. I can open it here. All right, hello from Flask. Yes? All that review from yesterday? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So pretty straightforward. This, I think, is a very simple version, right? This is the base route. You saw something a little bit more complicated yesterday, so we'll turn to that. This is what you saw yesterday, right? But this is really not any different. I gave it an actual route this time, or whoever wrote this lesson, on line 17, right? /students get, and then it's returning this as a JSON object. So I can go ahead and just Python app.py is this it? Yep. But I get this. What's wrong?
You need the /students or whatever the rest of the route is.
Yeah. /students. That's the actual route. And there's my JSON. Perfect. Yes? Easy. Too easy. All righty. So everyone knows how to create this little server. Is that correct? Yes? Okay. This is what I want you to do. Actually, we do have time. This is what we're going to do. You are going to create 4 routes. 4 routes using this data right here, right? But create a UI using HTML. I mean, if you want to style it a little bit, fine. Don't get too crazy with the styling. That's the main point of this assignment. I want you to create a 1-page HTML, right, that pings 4 different routes using only this data. Questions?
So you basically want what we did yesterday, because we created 4 different routes yesterday.
You create a UI for it.
But you want it, yeah. The only difference is you want a UI for it.
You are going to create a UI for it. That's actually kind of the crux of the whole thing. I don't need a CLI, right? And see how you can return different versions of this data. Or is there any way you can search this data using the UI? Can anyone answer that question to help everybody out on their assignment?
I mean, I assume that there has to be a way to do it because it's done all over the internet, but so probably an input box with a event listener that looks for the word search and then runs a method to search through something given the whatever was in the input.
Giddy up. You just gave away the answer, Scott. Thank you. All right, so let's start here. I'm going to go ahead and start it for you a little bit. Okay, sound good?
Mhm.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start how I would start. Feel free to amend this however you see fit. So if I was given this assignment, I would create a folder and I'd call it Flask app. Why not? Flask app. Cool. I would go in here and I know that I needed some kind of index.html, right? Because that's going to be my front end, right? I'm going to create style CSS just in case I need to do something with a button or something, whatever. Okay, I know that I'm going to need some kind of app.js with an event handler, right? And then I know that I'm going to need my server, which is going to be a what?
Flask web server?
It's gonna be based on what?
Flask?
Yeah, right. So this is going to be some kind of let me call it server.py, right? But I can also create another folder in here and call it let me call it, yeah, just server. Cool. So I have a folder in here. I have a whole Flask app. Cool. I have a Flask app in there. I have a server folder, right? And then, I mean, if you really wanted to get fancy, this is more of how you would organize code, but why not? Let's just do front end. Just call it front end. Cool. And then on my front end, I know I'm going to have these 3 files. I mean, you don't have to go that in depth, right? But this is what your app would look like, right? I have a Flask app, and right now I have a front end, and I have a server, right? And this kind of starts to get you in the mindset of kind of what the structure is going to look like. Make sense? Yes? In a real application, right? You'd have a version of this, but then you'd have like a CI/CD file, and then you'd have a config file, and then you'd have a test folder, and then you'd have a bunch of other folders, but it would be structured more or less like this. Everyone understand that? Okay, so if I came in here, I'm just really just going to start it. I'm not even going to start with the server, right? But we could, right? What's the first thing you're going to do? You're me. I am in PostgreSQL. I'm going to CD into Flask app. What's the first thing that I'm going to do here inside my Flask app if I want to start with server? Let me CD into server. How about that? All right, here. What's the first thing I got to do in here?
Create a py file.
I have a py file. It's called server.py.
You gotta import Flask.
I can't import it if I don't have it.
Okay. You got your virtual environment up. You gotta pip install Flask.
There you go. That's what I wanted. You need to actually start a virtual environment. Then you need to download Flask, right? Then you need to get your home route. Make sure that that works. You click on localhost 5000 or 8000, whatever port you want to use. You got that up. Okay, cool. You start building your routes there if you want, and then you can tackle it in any order that you want, honestly, right? But that's how you start going about your server. And then your front end, really simple. You go in here, exclamation mark tab. But why is that not? Why does it work? There you go. here's your boilerplate, and you can kind of start looking through this, right? You can create your little, what is it, script, right? This is where your JavaScript goes here, where that connection goes here, and then you can start building out your application. Yes? Does everyone understand that? So right now I'm having you connect your front end to your API. And eventually I'm going to have you connect your front end to the API to the database. Yes? So I want to see if you can do this part, because this is kind of the intermediary part, right? How do you grab an element using JS? How do you grab an HTML element using JS?
Get.
Get what?
Get listener.
Give it to me.
We'll pull it up.
Get an element by ID.
Which is the best one? There's a lot of them, right? There's get element by ID. There's get element by class. There's a couple other ones.
Can I
Which is
do
the
a
best?
get query selector?
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one.
That's one. Which one of these is the best one?
The ID seems to be easier to set up. I mean, for me at least, when I was doing the exercise. So I just
Okay.
give it the ID.
You're not
and-
answering my question. Which is the best one and why? There is an objective answer here.
I
Okay.
think they're all good. I don't
Easy.
have it.
No, that is
I
wrong.
would say ID because it
You're
is
wrong,
easier.
Jose. You're wrong. You can stop right there. All right. Let's bring it back a little bit. What's the best loop in Python?
One that's the right one for the job.
Not necessarily. If you had to just pick one.
By
For
index.
loops.
What kind of for loop? Which is the best for loop? I should have been more specific. What is the best for loop and why?
The for in the range because
Why?
it's definitive.
It's not because it's definitive, it's because it works in every scenario, right? And you don't have to nest loops. So if you only had to learn one, you learn that one, right? That's why that's the best one, because it can do it all. Which one of these can do it all right here on line 1, 2, or 3?
Last one.
Yeah. Why?
Because you could put Flask or you could put up any tag on it.
You got, yep.
So they use the get query selector all.
That is the right answer. Whether it's an ID or a class or an element, inside the quotation marks, you can identify it. So actually line 3 works in every scenario. ID only works with IDs. Class only works with class. Thus, those are wrong.
That
Make
makes
sense?
sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, you see these
I
questions?
blame it on
are-
my lack of experience. I was just doing IDs, so I just went with what I knew.
And that's
But,
fine for right
that makes-
now. But the reason
Yeah.
why I'm asking is when in doubt, you want to go with the most versatile tool, the one that can do it all initially. Now, is
Okay.
there
Makes
very
sense.
few use cases where, right, where very niche tools are better? Absolutely. Right, but you're not there yet. You need to get all of the easy ones first. Yes?
When it's the different for like get element by ID or get element by class in comparison to how it finds the elements, does that matter? Like
Doesn't matter
does
at all.
jQuery just go straight to it or does it just search like an index?
Yeah. No, it doesn't search like that at all. It just grabs the element from the DOM. It's completely
Oh,
different.
okay. From jQuery does, right?
I know very little about jQuery. You don't worry about jQuery. We don't do things like that anymore.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering, it was like
Now,
how it searches the DOM and stuff.
yeah, now you might run into an application that uses jQuery or your job, right? That happened to me on my first application. right? But we don't use jQuery anymore. It used to be, this is kind of like far down the road, right? But eventually when you learn React, you learn that, hey, it's not very efficient to reload the entire web page, right? Let's see if I can find.
Yeah, sorry, I
So,
misspoke. I saw query and I was thinking jQuery meant the query selector.
yeah,
That's
no,
wondering.
that's fine. See if I can find this. Uh, this might be decent. Okay. All right, cool. Everyone sees this image right here? This is kind of a little outside of the scope of what we're discussing, but we'll go ahead and talk about it very briefly. Everyone see this? I don't have a Facebook, but I imagine this is what it looks like, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So back in the day, in the early years of the internet, right, when something on the DOM changed, it would refresh the entire page. That's really expensive. However you define expensive, you are right. It's just very expensive to do that. So eventually, what Facebook discovered, I don't know if anyone discovered it before them, but they're the ones that did it the best. So I'm going to give them credit. They realized that, hey, if something on the page changes, let's not refresh the entire page. That's too expensive, right? Let's just refresh that quote unquote component, right? My favorite example is you see these little green lights next to your friends. When they're online, they're green, right?
Mhm.
When your friend gets off the line, what color do they change to? They change not to green, but to what? Think like red or it goes gray or something like that, right? Changes color, yes? Okay. So if that happens right here on this page, it makes no sense to refresh the entire page. Just refresh that component. Just compare what the user is seeing, right, with what the change is and modify that. Don't modify the whole page because everything else has stayed the same. No need to request all of this information again, just this one. Anyway, that's a little outside of the scope, but eventually what we're getting to. All right, cool. We talked about this. So if I just do get query selector because that one works for all of them. Yep. Questions? I have one question for you if there are no questions. Where did you guys leave off with an assignment yesterday or did you guys finish it and present?
We didn't get
finished
to
it, but we didn't. Yeah, we didn't present it.
Did anyone finish it or come close?
I did.
Yeah,
Oof.
me and
Okay.
Josh finished ours too.
Perfect. All right, so this is what's going to happen. It's 6:14. Let's come back at 6:35. We're going to come back at 6:35, and I want both of the people that finished theirs to present, and we'll go over the code, and I'll give you any tips that I see. Yes? And after that, we'll do individual work on this HTML Flask gap, and then we'll see how you're doing from there. Yes? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you, volunteers. All right, take 20 minutes. Back. That's at 6:35, right? I hope I said that right.
Yep.
All right, cool, cool, cool. Which one of the two groups would like to go first? Doesn't matter to me.
I can go first.
Load it up, hero.
All right. And let me pull up. while that's loading, I can go over the routes. So there's the get route. That's the one we did last night. The first, I think, three were pretty much all the same. For loop, and then just grab everyone who is older than 20 or equal to 20 and put them into a blank list that I created right here. Same thing with the students at 21 or older, just obviously with a different age. This one was with an and statement to combine the two of them. And then the student names, these last two, I ended up having I could get the Python working, but I couldn't get the endpoint to work. And what it ended up being is dictionaries need keys. It took Jordan to come in here, and even it took him even a minute because he just assumed I had a key there, but I was missing the colon, and then so I just kind of had this as calling last name from student, but nothing here. And so I kept getting an error about a set not being something, a set not being iterable or something. Uh, for Flask, like it was yelling about a type error. And once I figured that out, I was able to get around it and work on it. And one tip that helped me with Jordan told me was to break everything out into another Python file so I can run it separately without having to like worry about Flask. And then I think that is up and running now. That doesn't look good.
Isn't it student slash advanced students?
Uh, should be this. So Jordan saw this work last night, just so we're clear.
I think what Leon was saying is it should be students / advanced students.
Uh, why? I didn't have to do that last night. Not saying you're wrong, just asking why.
No, yeah, maybe just try students first and then see if you can go from there.
Sure.
What's a 404 error? Anybody know?
I think you actually need to hit the go live button in the bottom right corner of your VS Code.
Website not found.
Why? Like I've already got the servers up and running.
For it to run in your web page.
I mean, it's connecting to the server. The server's telling it, hey, yeah, I don't have anything for you. 404 is not found, right?
Yep. It's not finding it. Why is that?
Is it the port probably changed or?
Scroll
wait a
down.
minute. Yeah,
Scroll
because I
all the way
think
down.
yeah, it's set to 5,000.
It might be multiple things running. Change it to 7,000. Try to refresh the page and run. I don't think it's students /old students. It's just whatever the route is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Delete that. Do 7,000. Check if you have multiple things running on that route. Do 7,000 in your port because that's what you just changed it to, right?
Yes.
Control D and then restart it. What is going on here? Open in browser, check if that does anything. I think you're still getting a 404 though.
Yeah, it's still a 404. What did you want me to try, Guillermo?
Nothing. That's not going to make a difference.
Somebody
Okay.
somebody typed in the comments that JQ thing. There's like a pipe JQ.
Yeah, but that's just a beautifier terminal. That's not going to do anything.
Well, I know when we used it, it worked because we kind of had the same trouble at first.
Someone
It
pointed
should
out there's a
work
breakpoint
regardless.
on line 27.
Let's look at it. That shouldn't. Click that red dot. That shouldn't be anything. You don't have
Yeah,
your
it's a
debugger on.
breakpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have your debugger on. It doesn't matter. Just restart it. You're still getting 404s. Run that specific file. Right. Well, what file are you specifically running? A py? Okay.
App.py.
Okay. Just refresh it.
Reload.
Yeah, it's still 404.
Go to your default route is just /, right? So just go to that route. / should give you just the JSONified list, right? That's also giving you a 404.
Maybe setting it to true, the debugger to true to see.
Shouldn't matter at all, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Flask gave me hell last night. That was I fought that more than I did anything.
Something we're not seeing. Okay, go all the way to the top of your file. Let's go line by line. Let's see if we can figure this out. All right. Wait. Why are your routes after line 20? That should be the last line on your code. Copy and paste that. That should be at the end. Line 20, 21. Save.
Here we go.
What was
That
the
was
issue? What was the
order of
issue?
operations.
Anybody understand? Someone explain to me what the issue was.
Trying to run the app before the routes.
Yeah, but walk me through. Go to the top of the file, Scott. Someone tell me how this file runs.
So you from the first line.
From top to bottom.
Okay. So when I hit line 20, what did it try to do?
Tried to go to a different script.
No, try to execute your file, right? But your routes weren't available. Does that make sense? It flows from top to bottom. So try to execute routes that didn't exist on line 20. Does that make sense?
Kinda. What doesn't it doesn't make sense because whenever I pushed it, So I'm trying to figure out when it broke.
Uh, when you move this, it looks like.
Yeah, evidently. I think I
Okay,
was trying
cool.
to clean it up.
All right,
So,
just walk us through it now.
so old. Forget, is it older or old? Old. Yeah, so then I get it returns 200 and serves up the data. And then the one, like I said, that gave me a fit was student ages.
What was the issue here?
Dictionaries need keys.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, it was getting an error about yeah. Otherwise, it was getting an error saying that it was a type error about a set. And I'm like, I don't have a set. Um, but I guess without a key, a dictionary is a set. I don't quite understand why. I know Jordan was kind of confused as well. But we did figure that part out.
Gotcha. Okay, very
The
good.
other the other thing I couldn't figure out, and you might be able, I'm sure you can tell me. Seems like every time I run these, like sometimes they're not necessarily in the same order as the previous time.
Can anyone tell me why? That is true.
Dictionaries are unordered.
By definition. Nice job. Is that you, Nicholas?
Yes.
Yep, that's the answer.
10 points.
Actually, minus 10 points for you, Scott, for asking that question. That tells me that you don't know that. By nature, unordered, right? Okay, cool. Perfect. Awesome. Second group.
Josh Scottis.
All right, walk us through it, dude.
Oh, are you
You might
talking,
be
Josh? Are you you
might
want to
be
make
muted.
Are you muted?
I guess it's you, Brian. What's going on here, Brian? What's up with this group? Who's talking? Hey, we got work to do.
Brian, you're muted now.
Brian, you're muted.
I'll mute it. Yeah, I think he was supposed to do it, but we can't hear him for some reason. So,
All right, just talk through it. Brian, how'd you solve this?
so we just basically, well, Josh took a lot of notes, but we also we started out with the list of dictionaries, and we set up the basic structure for the app, and we basically put in app.route. We put in all the routes, uh, and after that, we just tested it like the assignment said to do, and we were able to run them all. So I guess Josh is gonna try to run it because we ran it yesterday. It was working fine. Yeah, yeah. See, I don't know which one he's doing right now. Uh, this is simple. Let me see. Which route is this, Josh? Oh, he says his mic isn't working. Yeah, he's
All right,
students, old students. So that's old students. So like you can see that it returned a JSON of 22, 21, and 22.
scroll down past line 38. Let's look at get younger. Okay.
You want to do younger now? Young students? All right. Hit that endpoint. All right, so these are all the young students, so they're 18, 19, 20, just like
Sweet.
the assignment said. Yeah.
Scroll down, scroll down. Sweet. Perfect. Great. Awesome. Yeah, you guys did very similar work.
Is there a reason you guys had an extra students in your route? Like
Where?
compared to mine? I mean, it obviously works, but like y'all had like student slash student.
I don't, that's just the name. That's just what we came up with yesterday. I don't know. It's
It
just
doesn't
random.
matter. They,
It's
they, could,
random.
they, they could have added 10 names there if they wanted to. You're right. It's whatever you say it is.
Mine has the extra students too, but I just kept it because it was the original route that was provided to us,
Yeah.
and then just added on to that one for the additional routes.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah, good question, though. It doesn't really matter. That's just a design choice they made. Like I said earlier, you could add 10 names there if you really wanted to. I mean, that's impractical, but you could have. Okay. What did you notice about those two applications? You had to go in there and actually change the URL, right? And
Oh
you're
yeah,
pinging
yeah,
these
for sure.
endpoint by
Yeah.
changing the URL, right? Normally you don't,
Yeah.
actually not normally, you never do that. You built a little API server, cool. But now kind of the interesting part, right? You're in there typing old students, new students, whatever. If they're older, they're younger, right? They got bad grade, they got a good grade, whatever, right? That's not really how applications work, right? So now you're going to create the GUI piece of how an application actually works. How would you go about designing an application that actually pings that API and gives you the data that you need, right? How does it take user input for an age, right? How does it take user input for a grade? Do you know how to do that by chance? I don't think you've
Me?
been taught yet. Anyway,
Are you talking about like how we would structure like the like use an option list in HTML to choose
yeah,
something
yeah,
and then have that map to? Okay.
yeah. You haven't been taught this, I don't think. So I literally just came up with this piece of data just now. We're going to play with
Only
Pokemon in just 1 second. You're updating URLs here, but that's how an application actually works, right? So this is how I would tackle this. Create a little mini UI, right, that returns that data just with button clicks. Can you do that? Can you render it in the DOM just with button clicks? Okay. If you can accomplish that, here's the stretch goal. Can you bring user data and have that dictate what you're going to call? Step one, hey, can I just render that information with a button click? Right? Older than 21, all A's, all B's, whatever, right? Make something up. Or I'm actually using Pokemon data or like base attack above 100 or whatever. I just put the data in the Slack channel, right? But after that's done, stretch challenges, see if you can get user input to submit it. Because that's how real applications work, right? They take user data, right? And then they call the endpoints, they ping the servers with that information. Yes? There you go. All right, questions about this challenge specifically? If there are no questions, I'm going to open the breakout rooms in just 1 second. The only last piece of advice that I'll give you here, guys, is don't duplicate what you already created. Many of you already have most of that last Flask challenge, but muscle memory here is really important. Create the new virtual environment, download Flask again, get the API up and going, and then just redo it from that folder, because that's going to be really important. Okay? All right. I am going to let you choose whatever room. I've opened the rooms. Let's try individually for about 30 minutes and see how far we get. How far did we get?
I think I
So
almost kind of got it, but then my folder structures because I put a space between my folder and it's like tripping up on the space between my folder name. So I gotta refactor to so it won't so because I'm getting a whole bunch of errors. It can't find the files, so that's why I'm getting kind of tripped
Do
up
you
on.
have something to show us or not, Brian?
Do I have what?
Do you
No,
have
I
something
don't.
to show us?
No, nothing that works. I have the code. You can look at the code, but it doesn't work.
No, thank
I
you, Brian.
think
Okay.
I
Who
have
else?
something. I will try. I can. I have something to show. I have something to show.
What are you going to show us,
I'm
Jose?
going to show you. I'm going to show you the Flask file that I created, and then I created that, and then I was getting to a point where I was starting to game out how I would create a web GUI.
Do you
And
have a single route that works? Just one.
I have 4 single routes that work.
Via the GUI?
Not the GUI. I think I'm misinterpreting what the GUI is. So to me, it's me going
Graphical
to the URL.
user interface.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah. So there is a graphical web page that works with the calls, where you go to the URL. So I do have that works.
No, you don't actually typically, when you click through a web page, click through URLs, right? Or type URLs besides like
Correct.
google.com. So you don't
So then
effectively have
yeah.
0 routes that work. Okay, anyone else? I just need someone with one route. Because guess what? If you have one route that works, just copy and paste it, right? All right. Anyone have
hold on.
one that works?
If you're asking if a route works, I have a route that works, but not a button that clicks to it. Just
Okay,
where
so you have nothing. You have exactly what you did yesterday.
Yes, I have that.
Okay,
Exactly.
so for today, you have nothing new. Go ahead. Anyone else have
that
something
is true.
to present today? Logan, stop laughing. People laugh on my jokes. And then I get comments from my boss saying, hey, Guillermo, people think you're mean. You should be nicer. And I'm like, I'm going to do my best. And the complaints still come in, if you can believe that.
I find it hard to believe myself.
No, you don't. All right, anyone, one route. Stop messing around.
Yeah, I can share.
Go ahead, Thomas. Is that you?
Yes.
All right.
So what I have here is I just did the A with the href tag, and then just do /fire. It's for the fire type, and it'll take you over to this one here. I think Charizard. There it is, Charizard. And then if you want Psychic, there's Mewtwo. Electric is Pikachu. Normal Snorlax. And a Ghost. That's Gengar.
Okay, this is actually really, really great. Because look at what he did on his HTML. They're just A tags. Okay, perfect. Now show us your JS code.
There's no JS code. I'm just using the app py. That's creating the routes, finding the type, and then it's the HTML doing all the work. It just sends it straight to the route.
Okay, I see what you did. Does everyone understand what he's doing here?
It's just like a hyperlink.
Yeah, it's linking to the endpoint directly.
Yes. Is this how you build web pages?
No.
He missed a really crucial point.
I have the home rendered. That's about it.
Okay. Focus on what I'm saying. Thank you, Thomas. That's actually a really unique example. What did he completely omit here?
The API?
He has an API, but he didn't use it properly, right? His application and the clicking through the button works. Why does it work? Can anyone tell me?
Because it's just a hyperlink to the web address, as if I
Yeah,
typed it in the web bar anyways.
yeah, it's local, right? What you wrote actually will never deploy. What was the right way to build this? Anyone have a correct route with JS?
I have the home rendered. That's about it. And I think
With the GUI button?
the GUI button doesn't work because I'm having a problem with my JS. I don't know why it's not loading the function itself. But
That's the crux to the entire assignment that I gave you,
yeah, I mean, I
right?
have the JavaScript, but it's just not responding the way that I want it to. But I have those things kind of set up, but I just am having trouble with the button actually
Okay,
executing the
we might
script.
come back to you, Anisha. Does anyone have one route with JS that works? Come on, someone has to have one route. No? Who kind of has a route with a GUI button or something? Okay, I need whoever's furthest along, and we need you to share your code because I think I was misunderstood or I didn't explain it properly. All right, who's furthest along here? Who has a server that works with all four routes?
I mean, my routes work, but so like all my endpoints work, and I was able to do that, if that's what you're asking.
Show us, Jose.
Okay.
Or
Uh,
wait, who is this? Andrew? Are you going to show
Yeah,
us, Andrew?
I don't know. This is what I have. This is what I
Okay,
thought you said to do.
okay,
So you have a button that says Pokemon, and it's fetching from the local host. But I didn't. I mean, I don't have the. It's not showing up. But I mean, it's fetching it, and
okay,
that's it.
cool. Does anybody know what the issue is here? It is populating something. What's happening here? This is actually a great little example. This is very similar to Thomas' example. It's not quite right, but there's something to be learned here.
it's still doing a pull like a hyperlink, right? The fetch. It's not doing like a API call. Am I saying that right?
No, that's an API call right there on line 19. It's a fetch.
Gotcha.
Andrew, is there a specific reason why you're using the then syntax? We didn't teach it that way, did we?
Yep. That's
We
a direct
did?
example from the curriculum. Yep.
Thanks.
Jesus Christ, bro. Use async await. Don't use then. But that's fine. Okay.
They taught both, but the dot then seemed simpler to kind of understand and
isn't.
make happen.
Use async await. What's the difference under the hood between async await and then? Nothing. Async await is just what they call syntactical sugar. It looks prettier and it's just visually easier to read. Okay. Now that we have that down, what's the issue here? No. Go back to that code that you were showing us. That was right, Andrew. The screen that you were just sharing, go back to that. That was good. Okay, here we go.
It's not referencing any of the data from the API on the then, I guess. Like it should be like data dot, I don't know the format of the API, but it should be referencing the actual data itself as a return.
It's looking like that get poke. That's your button click, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Get poke.
Yeah.
It's getting it. Could you fix the console log? Can we get something in your console log and see what it looks like? What's wrong with line 23, anyone?
The indentation doesn't it need to be brought in?
No. Indents don't matter in JavaScript. They only matter in Python.
Was it because RESP isn't identical? RESP, oh, there it is.
What's wrong with line 23?
Turned it already? No.
No, put it back. I'm asking the class, what's wrong with line 23?
Sorry.
It's
Control
after
Z.
the return.
Yeah, your console log never populates. That function exits on line 22. 23 is never ran. Move in front of the return. Or, yeah, before the return. Okay, cool. All right, let's ping this again. Save. All right, hit the pokey button. Cool. Open your tools.
Yeah. Right here.
All right. Open that the array right there in the dropdown.
Yeah.
All right. So it is returning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what is the issue just based on this debugging session right now? You're having trouble rendering it on the DOM, right? So this is kind of an HTML issue. You got a couple issues, but that's one of them, right? But this is the right idea, right? Show me your HTML. Let's go back to your code and your VS Code. And then kind of walk us through your thinking here, because this is pretty much on the right track.
Yeah, I was just trying to basically, we usually point the fetch to like an outside URL, but since the Flask was our API, then I'm just somehow trying to just do it all internal. So it's like you have three different, or you know, what, or well, here I just have one file, but I mean, if I had my script, all the files, connecting in a sense. So I'm just basically just putting the fetch to the localhost URL.
Yes, everything that you said, that's the right idea. Think about it. When you do a fetch call, I'm guessing you guys practice fetch with like the Pokemon API or Cocktails DB or something, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, you're pinging an API that's where?
Locally.
No. Listen to my question. When you ping the Pokemon API or the Cocktails DB or whatever we practiced on, I don't even know, I didn't teach that lesson. You're pinging an API that is where?
On a remote server.
Star Pupil, yes. Somebody else's computer somewhere. Who cares where it is? When I'm pinging an API that I'm running via Flask locally, where is that API being served from?
Computer, the same computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what changes? Whether it's an outside API or an internal API, what changes here?
Or nothing.
Nothing really, just the URL. If I'm running that API locally, then I should be able to ping it locally. If it's outside, then it's going out in the internet and grabbing it. That's fine, but none of the code really changes. That interface is the API URL. That's how you're communicating. That's the intermediary between me and all that information on some server somewhere else. That somewhere else could be my own computer, could be the computer in my closet, or could be in a computer in Western China. It doesn't matter. Yes? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Great, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Who was the other person that shared? Thank you, Thomas. Great examples. All right. Let's walk through this just very briefly. I hate kind of talking. I believe it or not, I hate talking so much in these. But let's kind of walk through this. I kind of want to give you something to kind of go from here. Okay. Cool. We're going to try to do this a little together. I can get this out of the way here. Okay. I am going to what if I did this?
We can't see your screen.
Oh, give me 1 second. Oops. Sharing, give me 1 second. Cool. All right. So what do I have in my screen here? What do I have? Don't overthink it. I don't really have anything, right? That's
Just
what I
a
showed
base
you earlier.
files, really.
Yeah, I just have a structure. Okay, let's go from that very quickly. All right, so what's the first thing that I want to do? If I was just given this assignment like you were a handful of minutes ago, how do you want to start? There's no necessarily right way. Oh, I don't know if I've told this class this yet. When you're doing something creative, sometimes you don't know the starting point. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is start with the part that you know. If that's the only thing you learn from today's lesson, that's pretty good. Start with the part that you know. Sometimes people will say, oh, we'll start at the beginning or start at the end or start here or start there. But when you don't know when to start, and if you don't know the beginning or you don't know the database or you don't know the API, how can you start there if you don't know? So that's the best piece of advice that I have for you. Start with what you know. Okay, where would you start here? There is no necessarily right answer. Where do you want to start?
Boilerplate.
Boilerplate. Okay, HTML boilerplate. Got it. Right here, I can do an H1. I can say hello world. Right? Ooh, hello world. Sure. Okay, let's open it with live server. Open with live server. Cool. I'm going to drag this. Actually, I'm going to close this down because I'm not going to need it. Cool. There you go. Hello world. Awesome. Now what?
Do we want to start a virtual environment?
Sure. Where do I go?
Are you already in your, yeah. If you have the alias, you can do VENV. I don't know if you do, but
Okay, I'm going to CD into server. CD into server. Am I stupid? CD into Flask app. CD into server. I'm in my server folder, yes? I have a server PY. Here I want to do what?
Python 3 -m VENV VNV.
-m. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Created. Awesome. Now what do I want to do?
Pip install Flask.
Install Flask. Cool. What's
You
wrong?
want to activate your virtual environment first?
That
Oh,
was
shit.
that was the issue. Source activate. I could tell I'm active. Look at server right there, right hand corner. Awesome. Now I'm going to pip install Flask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Got it. Now what?
connector.js file in the HTML?
Sure. I can go into here. I have a script, and all I have to do is source what? App.js?
App.js.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's connected. How would I check if it's connected?
Hold down Control and click app.js.
Control. I could, but what's like a more visual way to do it?
Server.
What does this say? What does this say right here?
The source of app and JavaScript.
Okay, it's saying that my HTML is connected to this script, app.js, right? There's no code here. But if I said, this should run, right? Nothing that stops that code from running here. Right? Does it work?
Yes.
Yeah. It's connected properly. Awesome. Now what? Notice how we're jumping all over the place. Doesn't matter. If that's how your brain works right now, awesome. Let's keep going. Now what?
We'll go to your server.py to create the whole dictionary of Pokemon that you gave us and begin to create your endpoints.
All right, cool. I know that I have this, right? This is from yesterday's lesson. What if I just copy this, right? Throw it in here. And what do I have to swap out?
The list of dictionaries.
Yeah, I am going to copy this literally from our. I'm going to copy this from our Slack channel, right? And I'm literally just going to plop it right here. All right, plopped it right there. And what I have is just a list of dictionaries. This is student data. It's no longer student data. It's Pokemon data, right? Yes, it's the formatting is not too good. And it's not students. This is
Pokemon data.
Pokemon data. This is Pokemon data. Cool. We're going to go on port 8000. There's a lot of stuff I don't need. I'm going to delete that. Okay. So now I'm port 8000. This is get students. I can easily change this to get Pokemon. Yeah. Get Pokemon.
The route too, the app route.
The route. Get Pokemon. Let's do Pokemon. Pokemon. All right. That work? Yeah. Could I try to load it? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I do Python what? Server.py. Command, and I can just click right here. I can pull this. I already stole this. I'm gonna move this down. Alrighty. I got this right here. This is my server. Didn't work. What's wrong? It's forward slash
Yeah,
Pokemon, right?
Pokemon.
add this. Yeah.
Looking like it's working. Yes? All right. Cool. Parse draw, whatever. All right. So notice I have now my API here and I have my front end here. Cool. There you go. This is running. I can just leave it alone for right now. Yes? All right. Now what?
Make the routes.
Ooh, I have one route though, right? We can build out the other routes. We can. But I'm going to pause you right here. Let's just work with one route.
We
We're
need
going to
an
build out the
input.
other. All right.
That's right.
Not necessarily an input, but we start building out the front end here. Yeah, we don't have any of the, we don't have the 4 routes. We have literally one route, all the Pokemon, right? That's all we have, right? How are we going to build out this front end now?
Do a button, show all Pokemon.
Okay, let's try that. Button, show all Pokemon. Cool. All right, so if I go here, look at that. I got a button. It says all Pokemon, right? All right, now what?
You gotta fetch it in your JavaScript.
Yeah, I do. How do you want to do that?
Make an event listener.
Okay, walk me through it. Give me the code.
Let me see. So you can name it like get document.get element by ID, whatever the element is.
I don't have an ID on my element.
Query selector.
On the button, sorry. Oh yeah.
So document query selector.
Yeah.
This. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool.
Yes.
What? How am I grabbing it?
Whatever the button name is.
It's called button. Does that work?
Yeah.
All right. Now
you
what?
can actually just, to make it easier, you can just name it const get Pokemon or something like that. Constant get Pokemon equals, and then use get Pokemon dot add, or next line, get Pokemon dot add event listener.
I could just inline it, right?
Yeah.
On a what? Click?
On click, yep.
What do I want to do on click?
Comma async. You're gonna execute a function, so async function parentheses.
I could, right? But how would I test this first?
You can do
I'm
a
gonna do-
console, return a console so that you know that it's working.
Would this work?
I'm guessing so. Yeah.
Okay. If I go here and I hit this button, oh, what's happening here?
It's executing before your website is actually.
Yeah, it
executing
just,
before
yeah,
you
it just
do that.
executing right away.
I was running into this problem, so that's how I know.
All right. So how do I fix this? How do I have it just
Add this-
console log the Pokemon or console log something on button click?
You add it inside the function.
Kind of. Someone help me fix this.
You take that out and then do get Pokemon. No, not in there, like next line. Unless you wanted to do it in line.
Would this work?
Yes.
Refresh. This is identifier Pokemon has already been declared. Oh, this is how you read errors, guys, in your DevTools. Look at app.j. That's where the error is at. App.js. 6 means the line. 1 means the character. Right? So if I look at line 6, here's the error. This is called get. Both of them are called get Pokemon. I'm just going to call that button. All right. So if I click show all Pokemon, what do I get? This works, right?
Yep.
This works. Cool. So notice how I'm just doing console logs here. I just need to check that everything is wired up correctly, right? I can figure out the functions and what they do and the asyncs and the fetch later. But if my thing is not initially wired up properly, then nothing's going to work. And if I start adding all those fetch calls and writing all that code, it's going to be really hard to debug later. Yes? Okay. So now I actually want to ping my API. What's my API URL?
/ Pokemon.
That's all up. This is my URL. I can just check, right? This? Okay. Let's go here. And actually, let's put it at the end, at the top. Const Poke API. Awesome. There you go. I'm going to ping that, and I'm going to console log Pokemon data. Pokemon data from my API. Awesome. Sweet. What's left? Someone give me the fetch call here.
Fetch and then poke API passed into the function.
Okay, I'm going to fetch what?
The poke API that you put up there.
Poke API. Okay, I'm going to fetch Poke API. Now what?
This is where I used the then thing that you said use the.
Okay, let's make it async here. Just async keyword at the beginning, right? Fetch. We're going to say const response. We're just going to call that Pokemon response. Pokemon response, right? And here is fetch. You're going to await the fetch, right, from Poke API, right? Expected comma. Oh, I can't spell. Oh wait, there you go. Same thing as the then syntax. It's just newer. I don't really want to get into it, but this is known as ES6, right? Every couple of years, they actually upgrade programming languages. And some of the syntax gets what's known as deprecated, not used anymore, in favor of cleaner syntax, usually. Sometimes it's slightly more complicated, but typically they try to improve languages and improve what they can do, their functionality and their just usefulness. All right, cool. So here, I can do what? This is going to be returned in JSON, right? So what's the one thing that I have to do here? I need to do what? It comes in JSON, so I have to what? I have to parse it.
Yeah.
I hate when it does this. There you go. And then what's this Pokemon response? Why didn't that autocomplete? Response. All right, cool. Pokemon response. And here, I'm actually not going to do anything. I'm just going to console log it. How you inject
You
it
have
into the DOM.
Pokemon.
Do I? Pokemon. There you go. Cool. And here, notice line 11. I'm just going to console log. How do you inject this data into the DOM? I don't know yet. I'll figure it out later. But right now, I just want to check, does this work? Does this code work? And console log is just fine for now. Yes? All right, cool. So now we're here. This is my front end. On this button click, what do I expect to see right here in my console?
The Pokemon.
Come on,
The Pokemon what?
data. Right.
What happened?
You're on the wrong port. It's 55, but it's returning 8,000.
Let's look
No?
at my code. No, let's look at my code. Let's look at my server, right? I'm on 8,000. Is that right? Eight thousand, is this port good? Yeah, that looks right.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
There's no route.
No, the route is there. Has anyone encountered this error before?
I did earlier, but I don't know.
All right. This is a cores error. I kind of don't want to get into it right now, but it's outside the scope of this right now. If this wasn't working, what's another way I could test this API?
Curl?
We could curl it, right? We could curl it. Anybody know another way? I don't know if you've been shown this yet. Have you been introduced to Postman yet?
I don't think so.
Right.
Okay.
Loosely familiar. I can curl the
Okay.
spot.
Okay, cool. Let's touch on curl first because we got a lot of stuff going on right now. Here we go. You could curl it. And curl under the hood is just a get command. So here, you can go to terminal and you can just curl this. What did you notice? What did you notice?
You got a response?
Yeah, I got all my information. So this get works. So it's something with my application that's not working because when I run a curl in my terminal, right, which is just a get to this URL, I get this information. And this API is being pulled from what computer?
Your computer.
My computer, yes. Another one, Postman, sorry. Download this application on your computer at some point today. This is known as Postman. You're going to be using it. I use it quite a bit. But it allows you to test API endpoints. API endpoints that are not on your computer and they are on your computer. So if I went here and, oops, sorry about that. Let me get just this URL. If I go here, I can actually ping it. I can do a GET request and I can just ping it. And what did you notice? I got my what?
It worked.
Pokemon data.
Yeah, you got your information. And this really helps when you don't want to build a UI to test an API endpoint. You just want to test that it works. You can use something like Postman. I think VS Code has a bunch of like interesting plugins. I think Thunder Client's one of them. It does the same thing. But I really like Postman. And sometimes you're testing a bunch of different endpoints. You can open a bunch of different tabs and test things. Right now, we're just focusing on GET requests, but you can change this to get post-put. You can do all of the CRUD operations. For right now, don't worry about that. But definitely download Postman. Get used to it. You're going to use it a lot. Curl is actually the same thing. It's just a GET request. Obviously, not as nice of a GUI as a Postman.
Is it the Postman Interceptor?
No, it's just called Postman.
And it's an application?
Yep, you can download the application. Oh, download the application. You can use it via the browser, but the browser won't have access to your local environment when you're testing local endpoints. So that's the only drawback about that one. Definitely download the app. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything.
Oh, I see.
Cool. Clear. All righty. All righty. All right, I'm going to refresh this, and I'm going to hit show Pokemon again. I'm going to get this error, but what do you notice here in your API endpoint?
It worked.
Yeah, 200 is a successful code, right? It worked. So there's something about my HTML that's not working, right? So I am going to leave this challenge to you. See what the issue is here, right? But that's it. That's just one route, right? If this worked, I would have console logged all of my Pokemon data, right? And
I
then
ran into this, the cores, that's a browser protection thing, the CORS. You got to install the Flask dash core pip install flash that cores. And then add something to your apps or your Python so it doesn't throw up that error.
okay, we're going to do it right now. So what you are saying, Dan, is that I am missing a package or module. Yes?
Right.
All right. So I'm going to pip install this missing module, right? With Flask cores. This? Yes?
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'm missing. Cool. Now I have it downloaded on my server. Now I'm going to import it up top from Flask cores, right? Remember, that's the name of my package I just downloaded, right? Import. I'm just going to call it cores, but you can call it anything actually, right? And then what's the last thing that I have to do? Dan?
You should be able to run it then.
I need to apply it to my actual app.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to go ahead and run my server again. All right, it's active. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to hit this. And it didn't work. All right, let's try it again. We did get rid of the cores error, though. Thank you, Dan. Not going to deep dive cores right now, but I will drop this code.
I ran into that while doing my thing.
Yeah.
I will drop this code in the channel in a second, though. Let's debug this very next one, and then I can cut you loose again. Here, what's happening here?
Nothing's found.
All right, I'm getting a 404 not found. It says uncaught in prominence reference error. Response is not defined. Get Pokemon, and this tells you where the error is. It says my error is in the app.js file, line 10, character 34. Let's look. App.js, line 10, character 34. So it's really the beginning of this. What's wrong with this?
It's a const.
No. Remember the old syntax, then? You have to await this as well. I just didn't see it earlier. Let's try it again. Cool. We're going to refresh. Now, finally, if I click this show all Pokemon, what am I going to get in my console?
your list of dictionaries. Never mind.
I am getting uncaught in promise, HTML element, same issue. How would I go about debugging this? Anyone? Because you're going to run into this, right?
Copy and paste it into Google.
Let's try to think of a more, let's try to read this, right? So we have an uncaught in promise reference error, right? Response is not defined. Let's go to our code. We know it's at line 10. It says response is not defined. If I put a console log here, right? Response not defined. And I actually just pass in Pokemon response, right? Look at line 10. It goes before where the error hits. This should be able to give me more information as what's happening with Pokemon response, right? So let's see. And notice I put a prefix here. So I know that that's my line of code that I'm testing. So I refresh, I hit it. What did I get?
You got your response.
Yeah, I got a response here. Let's see if this gives it slightly more helpful. Status not found, type cores, something, 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 something. All right, so what do I think is happening here?
The response in your console is capitalized too, though, whereas when you're trying to call it, it's all lowercase. But
The
should
capital
it
letters
be?
are mine.
But should it be Pokemon response though? On
What do you
line
mean?
11 instead of just response? Because it's saying the response, basically, response isn't defined for response.json. So you don't have a value of response.
Great catch. All right, walk me through it.
But so right there, yeah, on the line 11, instead of response, it should be Pokemon, then capital R for response.
And then?
And then it's
And that's the answer,
Poke
right?
API should be in there.
No. You parse it, right? And you console log it. Let's try that. Python server. Cool. Refresh. Got this. Unexpected token. So we're missing what? That was an error. Did everyone catch that? You're parsing that specific response. It's Pokemon response. That's what I'm getting here. Right? Now I'm trying to console log this again, and I get something a little different. I get this. Not valid JSON. What does that say? I can put a prefix here, right? My response. try that again. What do you notice here?
It didn't get to that line of code.
It's not showing.
Yes, good. It never got to that line of code. I don't see it anywhere, right? So now I'm getting an issue on app.js line 9. That's this right here, right? This right here. It's never getting to this. I still have an issue here. I could even just comment this out, right? My issue is still here. Stopping there. Dan, any ideas?
No, not really.
We only have what? This code, right? If I just run it without the API call, it actually doesn't work because I have to delete this. There you go. Makes a nascent function. If I delete that fetch, oops, let me just delete this. All right, if I did get this, it console logs just fine. So that tells me that the issue is my async call, right? This API isn't working properly. But I can curl it, right? So how would I debug this? Dan, is this where you got stuck?
No, but after I installed the Flask cores, then I didn't get that error, but I didn't get very far. But
Can you share us your screen? Maybe this will help us.
on the button here, and I eventually got it to work, but
All right, walk us through it.
okay. Everybody hear me?
Yep.
Here's my app Python. Made the app Flask name with all the Pokemon data. Then went down. I had to Google this because that's how I got around that core Flask, and also having the style CSS and index in their own folders. The templates folder in Flask, if you put an index file in there, then it'll automatically read it. Same thing with the styles. It has to be in the static folder. That's for my research of the Googling it and stuff. Create the API for Pokemon. XP and Pokemon data. It's the Pokemon ID from up here. And then fills in all the information from that ID. And for the index, just a lot of Googling on this, trying to get it to work. And what did you want to see on this?
I kind of wanted to see your JavaScript or how you rendered it on the GUI. Like, show us on the GUI how it works.
It's right there on line 37, looks like.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the failed too.
No, just I want to see his GUI. Just walk us through your GUI.
Oh. And it just spits out whatever the ID, the name and fire, stuff like that.
Yeah, but how'd you get past the error? That's the piece that I want to know.
I just moved the files into the index and the static into their separate folders.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer my question at all. Let me see your logic. You put it in your HTML. It should be in a different file.
See the what?
Show me your app PY file. Go up. I don't see how you fixed the cores error. Yeah, you did. You're not even importing it.
Yeah, that was my first version that I don't have anymore. Searching how to get rid of the cores error.
Scroll down. I'm cross-checking it, but all right. Thanks, Dan. That doesn't help us at all, though. Like I'm trying to figure out how you got past that error, why it's happening to mine and it's not happening to yours.
Use the render template.
Yeah, but we didn't teach him that.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys are ready for render templates?
It
should be.
No, I mean, we never learned
exactly
what to do with that. Yeah, so
yeah, exactly. We don't want to introduce that right now. That's the problem that I'm having. Okay. We definitely don't want to introduce that right now. We just want you to do it the very simple way, with just rendering it, console logging it. All right, you can stop sharing your screen. I'll give you this because we ran actually way longer than I intended. All right, the goal remains the same. Figure out how you can console log each of your routes, and then figure out how you can render them on the DOM. That should be your homework assignment for tomorrow. I will drop my code and you can go off of my code. Do it just with HTML, JS, and your one server file. That's it. You shouldn't need anything else. Yes? I'm going to look at this right now. And if I can figure out for you real quick, I'll go ahead and post the updated version. But until then, that's all I have for you. What is your homework assignment? Can anyone repeat it to me?
Return the data from the API call on the DOM.
That's it. How are you going to start?
With console log.
Yes, console log all the data, check via DevTools, and then it's going to be something like inner text element, HTML, something, insert, whatever, right? Yes? As far as I know, you guys haven't put it together where you just have HTML, a little bit JavaScript, reaching your own endpoint. Cores, I'm not going to get into it because you're going to deal with a lot of cores going forward. There you go. Logan just posted it in the chat. Yeah, it's something like that. Perfect. Yeah, it's going to be something like that. I'll put div inner HTML, and then you're going to write whatever the string is. That's all I have for you. Any big questions on APIs?
So should we just not use the then method at all? Is that just a deprecated thing, or is that?
You can use then, but get used to async await. Great question. Just use async await. I think it's easier to understand conceptually. It's also like way prettier and easier to read. When I read a bunch of thens, like I get confused. I don't think it's just me, but it's kind of one of those things, like it's good for you to know what it is, but like don't use it. It's good to read it, right? People don't realize that as a dev, you actually read a lot more code than you write. Make sense?
So for tonight, just to kind of recap, what we did was basically a recap of yesterday, of what we did yesterday, kind of like a review. Then we went into the assignment we had tonight was creating an HTML with the GUI. We just went straight into the assignment and tried to figure that out based off of the past HTML training we've done and JavaScript. Am I rephrasing that right?
Yeah. So you got introduced to APIs, right? API creates this kind of server that can return data, right? But you've already messed with external APIs like the Pokemon API and probably a couple of the other ones, right? You guys do the NASA API? I don't remember if you guys do it or not.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. With a bunch of external APIs, but that's really no different than creating your own API, right? So now what you're doing is you're just, instead of using an external API, you're creating your own API, your own data synthetically, right? And then creating a little GUI to use it. Make sense?
Makes sense.
And ultimately, something we didn't get to today, but it will be your lesson on Thursday. I'll make sure Jordan knows, right? There's really, I talked about full stack and the fact that there's being a bunch of different layers. There's three big layers, but then a bunch of smaller layers, right? There's your front end, right? Then there's your API, and then there's your database. Those are the three big layers. But there's a bunch of little small layers in between those three big layers.
So on today's curriculum, it was supposed to be the Flask Postgres. Does that mean we'll do that on Thursday?
You will do Postgres on Thursday. I didn't want to do Postgres today, and I already talked to Jordan because it's too big of a jump right now. Right now, you need to build a little GUI that accesses the different information via your API, because then the database connection doesn't really make sense, right? Because ultimately, it's going to go front end query API that queries the database.
Yeah. Another thing is I noticed that the way it's set up, it's the dependency is that we already did the Postgres curriculum.
We're in the middle of shuffling it
Yeah.
around.
Because I tried to do it and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the issue. And we're working through that. So this piece that I gave you is actually really important. And we have a couple more minutes, so I'll go ahead and melt your brain some more, right? So here we go. let's talk about just the GUI, the HTML. Eventually, you're going to learn React, and that's going to be your front end. But for right now, your HTML, right? That's your front end, right? Okay. So remember I told you there was a bunch of layers, right? There's 3 big layers, but there's a bunch of smaller layers in between. Okay. Let's say you have an HTML file with just a button on it. What I was building earlier, right? Let's say that was your web page, right? Where is that code being held, do you think?
At the web server, you mean?
Yeah, it's being held where?
It's deployed somewhere.
Yeah, it's deployed. Be more specific. It's being held. Don't say server, because server kind of indicates it's a back-end component. I'm talking about
Web
your
application.
HTML. You're not saying anything. A web application could have 35 pieces.
I'm not sure.
Your HTML, where's that being held? It's being held in a computer somewhere, right?
Some server
Some
somewhere
server.
in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so this is a really important piece. Remember I said there was a bunch of layers? Okay, there is a
Yep.
website. I have a Pokemon website whose front-end code and GUI, it's in Chicago, Illinois, right? But my website is worldwide. If someone from Japan is accessing my website, do you think I want them going all the way to Chicago for that information?
No. You send you do a edge node, no? Or some type of edge application.
It's on the
Kind
DNS
of.
servers.
The DNS servers just hold an address of where I could go, right? Of my application. The
And
cloud doesn't mean anything.
The Google headquarters.
Okay, so I have an HTML Pokemon site, right? It's just one file. But if it's based out of a computer out of Chicago, but my website is worldwide, I don't really want someone from Japan or China accessing it. Why?
They're gonna steal your information.
No, it's going to be way too what?
Too long to get to you.
Latency?
Yeah, it's going to be too long to get to me, right? So it's not just a front end, right? There's another piece to it called the CDN, the content delivery network, right? And actually, Netflix is probably the best example of this, right? If I'm in Austin, Texas, and I want to watch Rick and Morty, right? I want to get Rick and Morty from somewhere close to me, right? Yeah, right. But if I travel and see my buddy in Wuhan, China, and I want to watch Rick and Morty, am I going to hit the same Rick and Morty database from Wuhan, China that I did from Austin, Texas? Probably not.
No.
Right. So now you have all of that data being stored across a bunch of different computers across the world, right? And the DNS just really serves to route your request to the closest server to you. That's going to give you the best experience. Okay, I'm only giving you that example to give you another tiny layer of this like quote unquote full stack application, right? You think, oh, the front end, and I'm only just using an HTML one pager, right? I gave the Netflix example because that's to me the best example, but that's another component that no one ever really talks about, right? Delivering your content across the globe is another piece to this full stack that no one ever talks about, but that's really important, right? So that's a piece. Cool. Right. I hit the API endpoint, right? I hit the API endpoint and I search for a Pikachu holographic, right? And that Pikachu holographic image is in China. So it goes to China, that server grabs a Pikachu image, sends it back to me. I'm super happy, right? There's even another layer between the API layer and then I told you there were 3 big layers, right? What are my 3 big layers? Let's see if you've been paying attention.
Application or database, the Flask and I can't remember.
3 big pieces.
What was
What are
that?
they? You got one of them, database, but give them to me in order. From
Front end and back end.
Yeah, but those are 2 pieces. Give me the 3 big pieces.
The API layer.
Yeah, there you go. All right, your front end piece, which also still has a lot of components, right? That your API layer, right, and then your database layer, right? I gave you another like piece in the front end, right? But now I'm going to give you another piece in between a couple of the other big pieces. I give you the example of going to China to grab a shiny image of a Pikachu, right? So I am the user. I request this shiny Pokemon image, right? Through my GUI that has to be, close to me because I want a good user experience, right? It hits the API somewhere, right? Hits the database, grabs my image, sends it back to me. But let's say another user from my area wants that same Pikachu image, right? If it's within a handful of hours or maybe even minutes of when I requested it, there'll be a layer between API and the database, right? That will cache that image temporarily. So between the API, it'll check like a temporary memory storage and check, hey, is the shiny Pikachu image there? Hey, can someone stop their hot mic? All right. Like I was saying, if my API endpoint the first time goes to grab my shiny Pikachu, right? If there's a request within a couple of minutes or a couple hours from my area of the world, right, it actually will check the temporary cache first to check, hey, is that Pikachu in there? Because if it is, just grab it for me and send it back. No need to hit the database. So that's another layer. Does that make sense? Yes? And the
Makes
API
sense.
layer, and the API layer that you're learning right now, guys, is actually really important for a multitude of different reasons. I'll give you another example. I just gave you the shiny Pikachu example, right? But I'll give you another example. Let's say your database, let's say, for example, you have a really popular site, right? Imagine something like DraftKings at 11:55 a.m. What do you think is happening to that application on a Sunday?
It's getting blown up.
It's
Yeah.
getting blown up. Absolutely. It's 11:55 a.m. Your buddy just sent you the lock, right? You got to get on there. You got to get that 13 leg parlay in, right? So the API has a bunch of different things that it does, right? Right now, it's just returning a little bit of information. But another component is 11:55 a.m. on a Sunday, right? A bunch of people are querying information or sending requests to DraftKings, right? The API can also do something like, hey, we're going to send them to these servers, right? And we're going to split all the requests among servers. And if there isn't enough compute, we're going to provision more servers to handle all of the requests, right? So that's another piece that it does, right? That no one ever really talks about, right? But this idea of scaling, it's a monster up onto its own, right? That no one really talks about. Yet another layer within this very complicated stack of full stack development. Make sense? And that's where kind of like the cloud comes in. The cloud is actually really good at scaling, right? If you don't use the cloud, what do you think you have to do when you get an application that's really popular?
Buy
You're
more
gonna have to
hardware.
keep increasing your server
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah, you got to keep buying more computers and manning them and make sure all the networking is good and they can provision and boot up properly when they need to. And you're paying people and you're paying for the space and you're paying for the electricity, right? And you're paying for the people that guard the place, right? And you're paying for the fence around it. And you're paying for it to be kind of a secret, right?
I feel like this is where we need to talk about Silicon Valley. How everybody needs to watch Silicon Valley.
I've never seen it. I've heard it was good though.
Oh man, it's so relevant.
Okay. Yeah, I need to watch it, but I didn't get into tech until like that show's like really old, right?
Yeah, but it didn't age at all. Like like actually, it actually like predicted the future in a lot of ways. It's kind of scary.
Amazing. I think I see some reels about the guy that like he starts like an AI bot, right? And it deletes all their code. I think I've seen a clip about it. I think that's that show, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of like side things, but it's everyone should watch it if you're really serious about tech and just just with what we're learning and what we're talking about now, it's just hilarious.
I definitely going to do that. Probably this Christmas, actually. Is it on Netflix or something? Or Prime?
I think it's on HBO.
Max?
I can't
My girlfriend
remember.
has that. Awesome. Okay, sorry guys. I just kind of gave you a bunch of extra information you didn't need at the moment. But hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight of how complicated these things get. So it's actually really important that you get the fundamentals down. Because right now, yes, it's just returning a list of dictionaries, right? Or a dictionary based on a user query, right? But if you understand this, eventually you can kind of extrapolate out to scenarios that are much more complicated. Make sense?
Hey
So
Guillermo, real quick.
Yeah.
So for me, man, like if I can get the bluff, I usually can wrap my head around things a little bit better, like the bottom line up front. So when we talk about compounding things or going and moving to something else, what are the big takeaways that we need to be able to work through with these backend APIs and tying it all together? Essentially, what you did, creating folders, the index, HTML, CSS, all that, and being able to function and have it work. That's what we need to take away.
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. So I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. I'm going to try to combine kind of everything that you've learned so far into like my answer. So we already learned HTML, right? And query selector, get element by ID, all that stuff. You already learned that. You already learned CSS, right? And you already learned a little bit of Flask, at least to create a really simple API that just returns hello world, right? Cool. You need to be able to string all those things together. And that's kind of what I was hoping to do today. I know I didn't do a particularly good job with it, but that's kind of where you need to be. Really by Thursday, and I would take a little bit of time tomorrow, right? And try to get at least one or two of those routes complete from the GUI. And that's really important from the GUI because that's the whole thing, right? Like from a regular user uses a GUI. They don't use the CLI. They use the GUI to input some information, to search for something, right? That ends up hitting an API. And then on Thursday, you're going to learn a little bit of Postgres, right? And ultimately, that API later actually grabs that information from the database, manipulates that information from the database, and then returns it to the user. So I would focus on that because that's ultimately kind of the crux of the whole. Those are the three big components, right? The UI, the API, and then the database. That's it. There's going to be a lot of other stuff in between, but those are the three big pieces. If you understand those three big components, right, you understand actually the entire class. Because right now we did an HTML, a Flask API. On Thursday, you're going to use Postgres a little bit. And that actually doesn't change the rest of the cohort, right? So instead of Flask, you're going to use Django for the API. And instead of an HTML, you're going to use React for the front end. And that's your entire application. There you go.
Okay, good to go. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Does everyone understand that? That was actually a really good question.
So the homework isn't what's on the Google Sheets, right?
No, don't do that.
So
Focus on exactly what I said. Because if you try to do it the other way, I think Scott or Nicholas or someone
yeah.
said it, it's going to confuse you.
Do you mind posting what the homework is in Slack?
Yes, I'll go ahead and I'll post it with my code as well right after this.
Okay.
Okay, just for everyone, someone tell me what is your assignment if you already know what it is.
Get those routes working and returning the what you call it, the fetch
Yes.
into the GUI.
The GUI piece, guys, is actually really important. That's why I try to harp on today, because eventually you're going to learn React, and React is kind of a lot more complicated, right? With props and a bunch of other things and managing state and how things look. So if you can't do this, React's going to be kind of really tough because it's just way more complicated. Right now, I'm just asking you to grab a button, show a couple elements. So that should be pretty straightforward. All right, I went over. Have a wonderful day, guys. See you guys Thursday.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.